Hey guys, welcome to the top 5 problems with bikes. So, in the most recent update of Asphalt 8, Gameloft finally added motorcycles, motorbikes, however you want to call them, but basically they're two-wheel bikes that are fast, and they're returning. They haven't been in the game since Asphalt 6. And a lot of people don't like them just because they think it's a car game, but actually the reason that you wouldn't like a bike is because of the problems they have. I wasn't expecting the bike release to be perfect. I knew that the bikes would have some glitches and some balancing issues, but it's a lot more than that actually. And here's 5 extreme problems that need to be fixed for the future. And this is just to deal with bikes. And this is hopefully constructive criticism so that we can get all this fixed, because some of the stuff is really broken. And honestly, it's still kind of confusing. We haven't even seen the Suzuki Hayabusa yet, so there might be even more problems as we get into the faster bikes. But here are the top 5 biggest problems with the motorbikes in Asphalt 8. The 5th biggest problem with motorbikes is actually the nitro. So if you don't know, there's a new form of nitro called supercharged nitro, and basically when you do stunts or you hold down perfect nitro for a long time, a little purple bar fills up on your nitro bar, and basically when that fills up, you can do a little supercharged boost, kind of like the adrenaline system from previous games. But basically, that gives you a little bit of a speed boost, and you can do a wheelie and stuff. But the problem with this is actually, it's kind of exploiting your nitro. Now, some people don't see this problem, but I see this as a problem for just extra tank users in general, because basically you're given a free extra tank with this. So in this gameplay here, I'm going to run out of nitro on my regular nitro, and then I'm going to supercharge, and then my new nitro is completely filled up instantly. I didn't have to do anything to get that nitro, so I basically got a free extra tank there. But then also with that, I also got a supercharge, so you can kind of say I have 3 tanks of nitro with just one section. And that could be really broken for some tracks where not a lot of nitro is present. And the weird thing is, if you use an extra tank, it doesn't refill both tanks. It only refills one tank. Which kind of makes sense, but I don't know. It wouldn't make sense if you had 5 tanks of nitro either. But I think that the way to fix this is basically when you do supercharge, it doesn't instantly refill your nitro. It should just be the same as what it was before. And I just say that just, for balancing, so that, people who use an extra tank are getting their money's worth, or if it was using a free tank. But that is the 5th biggest problem with bikes, the nitro exploiting. The 4th biggest problem is just basically the handling of the bikes. The handling is clunky, unresponsive, and a lot of times unpredictable. So sometimes you can turn and you'll make a very sharp turn, sometimes you can turn and you just go straight into the wall. You don't know, and it mostly depends on the terrain of the track, but it's kind of weird, and you don't know if it's going to turn all the time, because sometimes on some turns it'll turn nice, sometimes you'll just go straight into the wall and just bump right over the track. The other thing is that when you initiate a drift, it's kind of like the Vulcan in that it takes a second for the drift to really kick in, but it's even more present on the bikes than in the Vulcan. You have to really time your drifts right, and it's kind of annoying. And then also, if you find yourself in a bad racing line, it's really hard to correct yourself, because you'll sway to the left, but then it takes a second to sway to the right, and next thing you know, you smash into a traffic or a wall or something. It's pretty hard to control the bike in general, which I was kind of expecting it to be a little difficult, but it's kind of unpredictable on whether or not you can make it turn clean. And that's really a problem for TLEs, because you don't know if your fuel is going to be wasted or not with a good attempt. And sometimes you can just come to the last turn where you just make a stupid glitch turn and you just smash right into the wall, where you could have taken it full throttle with no problem in previous attempts. So fixing the handling, just making the terrain where handling is kind of edgy, a bit more polished, so we can have a better experience with the bikes. And that is our 4th biggest problem with the motorbikes. The 3rd biggest problem with the bikes is actually the difficulty to do knockdowns and pick up nitro. 3 of the bikes are R&D, and picking up quality checks is very important, and it's really hard to pick up quality checks with the bike, so you have to be really precise in order to hit the quality check. With cars, you just kind of drift past them, and you could still pick them up if you had the right size car. But now you actually have to aim for it, and you have to hope that you don't miss it. I've missed many quality checks that have actually cost me tokens to pass the tests. and it's pretty annoying. But even more annoying is actually getting knockdowns. If you tap the back of a car like you normally would, you just stick behind the car for a while, and it actually is really hurtful for your lap time. So you want to avoid knockdowns as much as possible, but then, you know how you knock down a car? You won't anyway from the side. You have to actually land on a car from a jump. That's the only way I've been able to knock down a car. And yeah, I actually got a clip here. I did the jump and skydrop, and I got lucky enough for the Mercedes to actually land right below me. And I just jumped on him and got a knockdown. That's the only time we've gotten a knockdown on a car. You can knock down a bike like any other thing, but beware, because if you do hit the AI and stuff, you could have some pretty glitchy turns there. And the AI could force you in different directions. So you have to be careful when you're going for knockdowns anyway. But basically, it's really difficult to pick up knockdowns and nitro, so the easiest way to do this is just like increase the hitbox for a quality check, or increase the hitbox for a bike for picking up nitro. That'd be the easiest way to fix this, and hopefully it does get fixed in the next update. The second biggest problem is actually the wheelie. So if you don't know, if you do a supercharged nitro and you're holding your wheel or your phone or whatever in a straight line, you'll do a wheelie. And you'll do a wheelie as long as you're continuing to drive in a straight line. And it's kind of weird, because obviously the steering's a bit difficult to control, but sometimes you could be turning and the wheelie initiates, so you have to be careful on when to hit the second part of the supercharged nitro. And then even more so is actually doing a flip. So when you actually do a wheelie as opposed to the first level of supercharged nitro, you get a little bit more speed. So that's actually really helpful when you do air speeds. And sometimes you activate the supercharged nitro and do a wheelie too late, you'll end up accidentally doing a backflip. And speaking of backflips, that's another problem. Backflips are very weird and very unrewarding. You don't get anything for doing a backflip, because one, your nitro's already like fully charged, and it doesn't help your supercharge meter in any way. It's just there to look cool, but then it sometimes ruins your laps, and it's kind of unnecessary. And in this clip I got really lucky. I did 2 backflips and a jump, but I almost wrecked there. And you know, it's pretty dangerous to do backflips, and it's pretty dangerous to activate supercharged wheelie nitro right before a ramp. And not even a ramp sometimes, just sometimes if you go off a surface like a jump or a cliff or something, you'll accidentally do a flip. And the best way they could do this is just, I don't know, make it a bit more like responsive for the flips. It's kind of hard to fix that, and I'm pretty sure you have to adjust the physics engine, which I don't know if Gameloft really wants to invest their time doing. So my best advice is actually to avoid doing wheelies right before ramps, because that will just save you frustration and time. And that's our second biggest problem with the Asphalt 8 motorbikes. Number 1 biggest problem with the motorbikes, obviously, and by far, and if you've played with the bikes, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's the glitches. There are so many glitches with the bikes. Whether it's you're just turning in French Guiana through the helix as normal and your car is just suddenly in the opposite direction, or going through the Sector 8 tunnel and just, I don't know, you're driving one way, you go up the slope, and then your car is again facing the wrong direction, or right into the wall. It happens so fast, and I don't think any human reflexes could ever save some of the glitches that these bikes get. And I also mentioned this a bit with the handling, you know, you go right into the wall. Sometimes you just don't turn at all on some of the turns, and then some of them you turn a bit too much. I also mentioned that if you hit the AI at a weird angle, you'll turn like really sharp, and you'll go straight into the wall, or in the opposite direction. And basically, the bikes are very, very unstable, and in tunnels, it's horrible. Going through Tokyo and Sector 8 is a nightmare. Also, Tenerife, Cloud 9, the cave route is really dangerous. Anything with a tunnel or an angled slope or anything is really risky. And in Sector 8, that big loop that was actually a bit glitchy this update is even more glitchy with the bikes, because sometimes you'll be aligned the wrong way if you go through the Sector 8 loop. So the easiest way they can fix is actually fixing just the bike physics in general, because it's worked for cars all this time. And steering in a tunnel is just a nightmare. You're better off drifting or avoiding the tunnel altogether. So it's really annoying if you get a Tokyo or a Sector 8 Cup with the bikes, and people who are going to do hot laps are going to be very frustrated with tracks that need tunnels to get fast times. So the easiest way Gameloft could do this is just to fix the physics of the bikes, so that they're, not as glitchy in tunnels and just not as glitchy in general. Because there's so many clips I've been rolling with just the problems with the bikes, and I'm pretty sure there's going to be even more with the Suzuki Hayabusa, because that's going really fast. There's probably going to be a lot more glitches that I haven't mentioned that's appeared. And hopefully this is all fixed in the next update, so we can actually enjoy the motorbikes and not be tearing our hair out whenever we get a stupid 180 turn in a tunnel and you're going straight into the wall. So that is it for our top 5. I haven't posted one of these in a very long time, but I got a lot more to make. And hopefully you guys enjoyed this, and hopefully Gameloft is watching, because I really would like these problems to be fixed. And it would be such a shame for these bikes to be ruined by these problems. So, with that, thank you guys for watching. Hopefully these problems get fixed in a future update, and I will talk to you guys later.